Hello, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I thought we'd do a fun little flow today, not necessarily progressive, but just building up a little bit of heat, moving with breath, and then we can hopefully move on with the rest of our day. So let's start in child's pose, please. So in child's pose, if your knees are wide and toes together, it helps release into the hips a little bit more. If the knees are together, helps release into the lower back a little bit more, but you will find there's a bit more compression through the belly if you have the knees together. So whatever feels more comfortable to you. And then arms can be outstretched, or you can have the elbows bent. Sometimes I call it chicken winging my arms around my shoulders. Some people like wrapping the arms around behind them. You can even stack your hands or your fists underneath your forehead just to give yourself a little bit of lift. And if your hips are way up high from the heels, and that can be uncomfortable, right? Just kind of hovering here. You could slide a pillow in between your bum and your heels. So wherever you need to be. And then for 3 breaths, inhale deeply through your nose. And exhale, sigh the breath away. A couple more, just like that. And continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. With every inhale, imagine your spine lengthening from your tailbone up to the crown of your head. And with each exhale, a gentle softening of the front body toward the floor. Inhale to lengthen through the spine, and exhale to soften. If your arms are bent, gently stretch them out in front of you. Staying in child's pose, start to walk the hands over to the left edge of the mat. So you're getting a long reach now through the right side of the body. Your head will lift up a little bit here, but maybe it comes down. You can clamp down on top of one hand with the other if you'd like to. And then with each exhale, think of reaching your right sit bone back toward your heels a little bit more. So you're getting a long, long stretch through the lats. And then inhale, walk through center, and then over to the right. Send your hips back toward the heels. And then inhale, back through center. Slowly bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. Press yourself up to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake. Maybe a couple cat and cow undulations on your own time, on your own breath, moving however you need to move. And then eventually tuck your toes, lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. You can pedal the heels out a little bit. Wag your tail from side to side. Sometimes it feels quite interesting to come all the way up onto the toes and then bending your knees, send the hips back a little bit more. The heels may or may not touch. That's fine. It's not a big deal one way or the other. I know a lot of people who can reach their heels to the floor in downward facing dog, but they're still not good humans, so don't worry about it. And then spread the fingers nice and wide. Grip the mat with the fingertips. Feel a lift in the palm of the hands. And then bend your knees, look forward. On your exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat. into standing forward fold. You could sway a little bit from side to side. You might clasp opposite elbows with hands. Some of you might choose to instead rest your elbows on your knees or thighs. Wherever you are, think head heavy, neck long. And I know if those of you with glasses, it can be tricky to have the hand just hanging free. Last couple breaths here. Gently release the bind on your hands with fingertips to your shins or maybe the earth. Inhale, little partway lift. Pause here. Feel the lift of belly button to spine. Send your sit bones back to the back wall. And as much as you're reaching those back, think of beaming your heart forward, the crown of the head forward. There might even be a little bit of cow in the back here rather than rounding, right? You want to try and find length through the spine. And as you exhale, let it all go. Couple more on your own time. Inhale to lift and exhale to lower. And bend your knees, tuck your chin in toward your chest. Head heavy, arms heavy, slowly roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time. Slow as you need to go. Couple loops of the shoulders up, back, and down once you get up. And then feel a hug of the legs toward each other. Tailbone to the earth slightly, belly bend to spine, shoulder blades on your back. On your inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. Maybe follow with your gaze. Exhale, dive or fold down to the earth. Forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees. Plant your hands flat. So bend your knees enough the palms can come flat to the floor. And then step back to plank. Top of a push-up. Either from your toes or from your knees, whatever feels best for your body today. Squeeze the bum, squeeze the tops of the thighs. Draw your lower ribs up to the sky a little bit more. Press the floor away. So there's a little bit of protraction here in the shoulder blades. Last breath. And then exhale, lower all the way down to the earth. Untuck the toes, press the tops of the feet into the floor, so much so you feel the kneecaps lift away. Send your tailbone to the back wall. Feel your belly button engage toward your spine. And then inhale. Reach the heart forward to come up. Baby cobra. Exhale, lower back down. Couple more just like that. And then tuck your toes. Exhale, lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Fingers spread nice and wide. Belly bend to spine. Hug the upper arm bones toward each other. Bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, lift up partway. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, right back down to the earth, forward fold. Inhale, lift up partway. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands. Inhale, step back to plank. Exhale, lower all the way or partway to the earth. Inhale through baby cobra or maybe upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. On your inhale, lift your right leg high, three-legged dog. And then take your right leg out to the right. I'm going to have to shift myself over a little bit so that I don't knock my bookshelf over. So the right leg goes all the way out to the right. You want the toes pointing to the top right edge of your mat and the heel reaching to the side wall. And then maybe you bring it a little bit more forward, a little bit higher. Good. Inhale, back up. Three-legged dog. As you exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Wrap the back heel for warrior two. So heel to heel or heel to arch alignment. Pause here though. We tend to just kind of hang out in this transition, but I really want you to feel it. So bring your right hand inside the right foot. Maybe you have a block or something that you can bring your hand onto, and then start to spiral the upper left ribs open to the sky, and then charge through that front heel to inhale, come all the way up. Ooh, interesting, right? We kind of just fling ourselves up often into warrior two. Now that we're here though, bend your back knee, stick your booty back, and get a little wiggle on, a little shake, draw hip circles. You can rock side to side, whatever you need to do. And then eventually you start to feel like, okay, I can sink into that front knee. So you start to send the weight a little bit more that way as you supercharge your back leg towards straight. Squeezing the bum, squeeze the top of the thigh. Can you de-weight the big toe on the back foot? So you're not rolling into the arch of the foot, but it's really active. And then maybe you need to adjust the length of your stance so that the knee is not too far behind the ankle nor too far forward. And then send the knee out to the baby toe edge of the foot. Hug the legs toward each other like you're on ice skates. Super strong position, right? It's called warrior for a reason. Now, just because it's called warrior doesn't mean that you might be feeling particularly fierce or strong today. Maybe you're a peaceful warrior or a resentful one. That's okay. Just notice. Gently flip your front palm up on your inhale. Sweep over the back leg. Exalted warrior. So you don't have to look up, particularly if it means that you lift the chin. A little tuck of the chin, or maybe keep looking forward. Backhand maybe on your thigh, or your waist, your hips for a little bit more support. Any other arm variation of your choice. Keep hugging the legs toward each other. One more inhale here. And come back to warrior two. Gently start to straighten that front leg and heel into the back foot in a little bit. Shift the hips back as if for triangle, right? So we want to pause here. Notice the width in my feet feels still too wide for me for triangle. So I'm going to adjust it a little bit more, shortening the stance, hugging the legs toward each other without locking those knees out. My legs naturally hyperextend, so I have to do a lot of work to keep those legs straight, but not hyperextended. Belly button to spine. And imagine someone's pulling that left hip with a rope back as much as you start to reach the upper body forward. And you can hover it out in triangle if you wish, or maybe you scoop that front hip back and under slightly. See, I all of a sudden gained way more range of motion for coming forward. That means my femur isn't knocking onto my hip bone. Maybe the hand comes to the calf. If you have a block, it's a great place to use a block. Right? Deeper isn't necessarily always better in triangle or anywhere in yoga. Spiral those upper left ribs open to the sky. One more breath here. Okay, hug the legs toward each other, belly button to spine. Think that you're pulling yourself up with a rope with that top hand. As you inhale, come all the way back up. Whew. Gently bend into that front knee. Look down and forward. Windmill the hands to the earth. Step back, flow, or downward facing dog. On your inhale, lift the left leg high, three-legged dog, and then again sweep it out to the left. So we usually do the stacking open, right? But here I want internal rotation. I want you to work glute med. Heel reaches as far to the left as you can. Toes point to the top edge of your mat. And then keep wrapping those armpits toward the earth. One more breath here. Inhale back up. Exhale, step your left foot between your hands. Wrap the back heel to the floor for warrior two. Pause here. Okay, so starting to drop belly button to spine. Wrap that back hip forward, front hip back. Maybe you bring your hand to a block inside that front foot. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. Start to spiral those upper right ribs open to the sky. Hug the legs toward each other. And then inhale, come all the way up to warrior two. Now that we're here, bend that back knee. Stick your booty back a little bit. Get a little wiggle on, a little shake. You can sway side to side. You can do lunges. You can lift the feet up, right? Change the alignment. Just trying to find a little bit more space, a little bit more lubrication for that front hip. When all of a sudden you choose, maybe, to start to sink into it a little bit more. Wrap that front hip down and back. Supercharge your back leg towards straight. Squeeze the bum, squeeze the top of the thigh. And then lift the back toe, or the back big toe if you can. And then inhale the arms wide. All right, so even if warrior felt really great on one side, it might not on this side or vice versa. Maybe it feels equally awesome on both. Keep hugging the legs toward each other. Gently flip the front palm up. Inhale, sweep over the back leg, exalted warrior. Right, without dumping into the back of the neck. All right, so try to keep the back of the neck long. Any arm variation of your choice. Keep sending that front knee out to the baby toe edge of the foot. Last breath. And then inhale all the way back to warrior two. Gently straighten that front leg without hyperextending the knee. And then heel into that back foot in a little bit. Pause, test it out. See if it feels like it's the right width. If not, shorten the stance or widen it a little bit more. And if you always take a really long stance in triangle, try taking a shorter one. And just see how that feels for you today. So hug the legs toward each other and then imagine again that someone's got that rope on your hip bone, the top of the pelvis, and they're pulling it back. And as soon as that happens, you can see the upper body immediately wants to counterbalance and go forward. So again, you might choose to hover it out without locking out those knees. Or maybe you scoop that front hip back a little bit to gain a little bit more fold, right? You just don't want to grind your bones on each other. That's generally frowned upon. Hands can reach wherever, but keep spiraling those upper right ribs open to the sky. Maybe you look up, maybe you look forward, maybe you look down. Whatever you need these days. Last couple breaths here. And then again, like you're lifting yourself with the rope with that top hand. Inhale all the way back up. And then exhale, windmill the hands to the earth. Step back, flow, down dog, child's pose, wherever you need to go. Couple breaths, wherever you've landed. On your inhale, if you're in child's pose, meet us back in downward facing dog. On your inhale, lift your right leg high. Exhale, step the foot between the hands again. Wrap the back heel for warrior two. Pause here. And then start to find that alignment, bringing that right hand inside the right knee or foot. Start to spiral the upper left ribs open to the sky. And let's stay here in side angle pose. Now this is quite deep for me. I wouldn't usually go this deep in side angle. So maybe I'll bring a block underneath that hand. Or you can bring your front elbow to the front knee. Okay, and then start to spiral those upper left ribs open to the sky. Top arm can go up. Or maybe you sweep that arm sort of over your horizon and then reach the heel and the fingertips in opposite directions without cramping any space here or rounding, right? You want to open through the chest. So if you're super deep in this pose, but you can't open through the chest, I want you to back out of it a little bit. One more breath here. And then inhale, come all the way up. Warrior two. Gently straighten that front leg. And then heel and toe the back foot in again. Okay, so here we are back. And set up for triangle. Hug the legs toward each other. Shift the hips back. Reach the upper body forward. Scoop the front hip under slightly. Look forward. And then triangle. So we're looking forward in triangle because we're just using this as a transition to bend that front knee. Keep looking forward. Single point of focus for the eyes on the floor. Maybe that top hand comes to the hip. And then bend the back knee as well to use a little bit of spring to inhale into Ardha Chandrasana or half moon pose. So you can hover it out. Maybe you have a block or a pillow or a stack of books to bring underneath that bottom hand. Maybe the fingertips are on the floor. That's really super deep for some of us though. Spiral the upper left ribs open to the sky, right? As much as you're able to open up, the balance becomes easier. Not that it's easy, just easier. One more breath here. Okay, and like a ninja, exhale, step all the way back, warrior two again. Whew. Cool. One more breath here. Exhale, windmill the hands to the earth. Step back, flow, or downward facing dog. On your inhale, lift your left leg high, three-legged dog. Exhale, step your foot between your hands. Wrap the back foot for warrior two, but pause. Okay, bring that left hand inside the left foot. Maybe you have it on a block, on whatever height feels good. Maybe it's on the floor. Sink into that front hip. Start to spiral. The upper right ribs open to the sky. So we've got that beautiful opening through the torso. Maybe the top hand stays here. Maybe it comes up. Maybe you feel like, oh, this is a bit deep. So you back out of it slightly. Elbow on knee, wherever you need to be. Top arm can be up. Or maybe you sweep it so that the bicep just comes right over your ear. Wrap both shoulders onto your back. Really keep working to opening the torso up to the sky. One more breath here. And then inhale all the way back up. Woo. Warrior two. Couple breaths. And then gently straighten that front knee. Heel and toe the back foot in again. Right, as if for triangle. Shift your hips back. Reach the upper body forward. Look forward. One breath here. Then bend into the front knee, maybe the back knee as well. Slowly start to shift the weight forward. And then inhale, pick up the back leg for Ardha Chandrasana. Right, so you can hover it out if you wish. Maybe bring a hand to the floor or to a block. Right, if you're feeling any pain anywhere, back out of the depth. Right, really energize that lifted leg. Spiral those upper right ribs open to the sky. One more breath here. And then slowly, slowly, gently, stealthily, whoops, exhale. Step all the way back. Warrior two. Maybe not as stealthy on this side. Exhale, windmill your hands to the earth. Step back, flow, down dog, child's pose, wherever you need to go. Couple breaths wherever you've landed. Let's meet back in downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale right back down to the earth, forward fold. Inhale, lift up part way. Exhale, fold. Okay, so you have a couple options here. The first one is to take your peace fingers underneath your big toes. Okay, I know some people object to calling these peace fingers, but I don't know. I always thought it worked. Underneath the big toes. Bend your knees enough that the belly is comfortably resting on the upper thighs. And then draw your elbows wide. Head heavy. Neck long. Second option, step the palms of the hands underneath the soles of the feet. So the toes are up at the creases of your wrists. And you can give your wrists a little massage with your toes. Same thing. Knees are going to be deeply bent here probably. Try to draw the elbows wide. So with the elbows drawing wide, let the head hang heavy. Wrap the shoulders onto the back, maintaining that tension wherever you are. Maybe then you start to straighten the back of the legs a little bit. All right, so you've got this very interesting tension of upper body retraction and lengthening and lower body lengthening. Belly button to spine. And gently release your hands or your bind. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands, step back to plank. And then exhale, lower all the way down to the floor. Again, little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Untuck the toes, press the tops of the feet into the floor. Tailbone goes to the back wall. Belly button to spine. Inhale, start to reach your heart forward to come up to half locust. So the hands could rest, or maybe they reach along back beside you. Palms facing up or down. Some people might choose to clasp your hands behind the back. And then keep the back of the neck long, so you're really looking down rather than forward. Maybe the legs or the feet start to reach so far back that they lift up as well. So you come into one big arc. Last couple breaths here. Inhale, lift everything up a little bit higher. Exhale, lower all the way down to the floor. One cheek to the earth. Deep belly breaths to release through the lower back. And then roll over to your back. Hug your knees into your chest. Take a little rock from side to side. And then bring your feet to the floor. Hip width apart, parallel-ish, so the knees are bent. And then make sure that the feet are close enough into your bum that you can just sort of tickle your heels with your fingertips. And for most people, what that will do is it'll stack your ankle underneath your knee so that you have a really strong base of support for when we lift up into bridge pose. Hug the legs toward each other slightly. The knees or the thighs are not going to touch, or certainly the knees won't anyway. And then press your feet into the floor. Inhale to lift your pelvis and your spine up and away so that you come up onto the shoulder blades. Keep your neck still here. So don't look or don't turn your head from side to side. You have the you could tweak your scalenes if you do that. Wrap maybe the shoulders onto the back a little bit more. Walking onto the outside edge of the shoulders. Maybe you clasp your hands behind your back. You can be as high, as low as you need to. Just the last couple breaths to reset the pelvis. And then slowly, gently release. Exhale, lower all the way back down to the floor. Heel into the feet out, mat width apart. Let the knees hang in toward each other. Draw your knees back and toward you. Little rock from side to side. Take your right arm out to the side. Maybe you shift your hips right a little bit. And then exhale, lower the legs to the left. for a twist. So the knees can be stacked. You could always bring a block or a pillow in between your knees or underneath the bottom one to give yourself a little bit more support. You could take a single leg twist or legs crossed wherever you need to be. Sometimes it feels nice to bring that left, or that top hand rather, on top of that top thigh. Last breath here. And then inhale back to center. Reset your spine, your pelvis, and then take the hips left a little bit. Left arm reaches out. Exhale, legs to the right. And maybe you bring your right hand to the top of the left thigh or the knee for a little bit more traction. Breath slow and sweet. Last breath here. And then inhale back to center. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, maybe a happy baby, spinal flexion or extension, feel free to go where you need to go. Otherwise, start to think about where you would like to rest, whether it's on your back, legs bent or straight in Shavasana. You could rest on your side or in a seated meditation. And for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh, and breath away. 2 more. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. Let go of all muscle control, all breath control. And stay here longer if you can, 5, 10, 15 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.